I went to university and I was one of 6 girls in a class of over 30. That's less than 20%. And out of those 6 girls, by the time we got to graduation, there were only 3 of us. And out of those 3, only 1 of us pursued a career in civil engineering. And that person wasn't me. I had gone to a girls' school, and so being in a class of boys for 4 years was a challenging experience for me. They were typical boys, loud, confident, always thinking that they were right about everything. So as I imagined what it would be like to work with them and be on construction sites, I didn't think I was up to it. I didn't think I would be heard amongst all of those men. So I edited myself out of that scenario. I didn't even dip my toe in the water. How often have you deleted a scene before it's played out? How many opportunities have you let go? And we see this in business and in government amongst our leaders. This year marks 100 years since Emily Davison lost her life in fighting for raising awareness of gender equality. She was a suffragette, and I wonder what she would have thought about the progress we've made in the last 100 years. And when you look at the figures, there are less than 20% of board members that are women. That's 1 in 5. That's the back 2 rows in this room. There aren't enough women at the top. Well, why should that matter? Well, isn't it important for female colleagues to see them there, to represent a 50-50 population? Now, there are lots of reasons for this, like the glass ceiling, institutional mindsets, work-life balance, and blocked talent pipelines. But I want to talk to you about something that I think is just as important, one simple concept. Now, we all know that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And that's why men find it a mystery to understand us. Women are fantastic at multitasking. They can be on the phone, cooking dinner, doing some knitting, because that's back in again. But apparently, they're not very good at parking a car. Something to do about distance. Now, these are stereotypes that we hear about all the time. But here's the science behind it. Men and women's brains are different. According to Dr. Anne Moyer, an expert on brain-sex science, research conducted in the last 10 years has given us a much better understanding of the human brain and how men and women process information differently. The male brain is better at systems thinking, and the female brain is higher in emotional empathy. Now, brain sex doesn't always match gender, but these tendencies are true for the average man and the average woman. One of the marked differences is that men thrive in competitive situations. They're self-assertive and independent. Women are better at reading body language. They're better at interpersonal skills. These biological behavior patterns can also hinder success. So, for example, women are less likely to blow their own trumpet, taking a lower profile. They're more cautious, so they won't take risks. And they get stressed in competitive situations. This isn't about putting people in boxes, and we're not destined to be determined by our biology. Awareness is key, and when we know that, we can adjust our behaviour. But why aren't there enough women at the top? One reason is that we don't talk about our competencies. We don't advertise our ambitions. We just think it's obvious. But if we don't say it, men tend to think that we don't have anything to offer. Here's the thing. Men are taught to overvalue their strengths, and women tend to undervalue their strengths. Men are biologically driven to stand out. And we need to find a way to do the same. We see this in nature quite often. We think about a beautifully decorated peacock and the female peahen. Men need to hear it, but not in the way that they do it. And sadly, we see lots of women dress and behave like men, and that doesn't always work. We have feminine qualities that are valuable and necessary in the workplace and business, and that's a much more authentic way to succeed. We are our own worst critics. We undervalue our strengths. We don't speak up in case people think we might be difficult or we don't have confidence in what we want to say. There was an interesting study carried out by Anderson and Kilduff in 2009, and they looked at groups of people solving problems. And what they found was that the people with the dominant traits were perceived by their teammates as being more competent, regardless of what the correct answer was. This is because they volunteered answers and they were confident in their ability. Leaders speak up. So what can women contribute to the top? A study published in the International Journal of Business Governance and Ethics in May this year stated that female directors are more cooperative and form decisions for the benefit of all. They temper the risk-taking behaviour of their male counterparts, and their empathetic ability is a fantastic tool for negotiating. Diverse teams are better teams. They make better decisions. In another study featured in the Harvard Business Review, they found that the collective intelligence of a group rises with the inclusion of more women, as compared to taking an average of the individual IQs. This is because women are higher in social sensitivity, and great groups talk to each other, they listen to each other. This isn't about positive discrimination or diversity programs. It's about getting organisations to understand that more women at the top will make businesses much more successful and effective. We have to get more women to sit at the table because there are skill sets missing. When I decided not to go into engineering, I thought law was a better option. Why? Because all lawyers are confident. So just by osmosis, I could absorb it. That's not actually true. However, for a long, long time, I avoided speaking in front of groups. I made myself invisible, and I would go out of my way to avoid speaking. And then one day, 8 years ago, I was invited to give an update at a departmental meeting. I couldn't get out of this one. You know when you're at school and you want a note from your mum to help you get out of sports? I really wish I could have used that. I knew that this opportunity would make me more visible, it would raise my profile. On the day of the meeting, it took place in this big boardroom. There was a huge table with 20 of us sat around it. And it included some senior people that I really wanted to impress. And we had this white agenda. And on the bottom of it, right near the any other business, was my name. The longer that meeting went on, the louder my heart started pumping. I didn't hear anything that went on in that meeting. All I could think about was it was going to be my turn soon. And then I would be found out as a fraud. Suddenly, all this sea of faces turned towards me and looked at me expectantly. And I felt like I was in a movie, the slow motion kind. All my movements were laboured as if I was swimming through treacle. And I don't know what came out of my mouth, but it wasn't very much, and there wasn't much of it. People had to step in and contribute for me. At the end of the meeting, I could tell people felt sorry for me. I felt mortified. I was frustrated because I hadn't prepared enough. I felt like I'd scored an own goal. Last week, the Guardian newspaper featured an interview with Tamara Mellon, co-founder of Jimmy Choo. And she said, women find it difficult to speak up, and she did as well. It happens for most of us, however successful we are. We feel this imposter syndrome. Why? Because we don't have that internal self-belief that men do. I found out the hard way that being invisible only gets you so far in your career. Wherever I was going in my career, I would have to learn to speak. And I would have to speak in front of peers and senior people. If I didn't get training, then I would do it very badly. Speaking in front of groups induces anxiety for most of us. It took me years to work that one out. For a long, long time, I thought it was just me. I went off and joined speaking groups, found mentors to help me with my confidence, to help me move on in my career and set up a business. If we want to get promoted on talent and rise to the top, people need to know who we are and what we can do, and that means being visible. It's about opportunity and being prepared for it. So I have some suggestions for you. 1, join a speaking group and go regularly. There are hundreds of them around. It will help you with your confidence and thinking on your feet. 2, commit to speaking up in every meeting. And 3, find a mentor to help you towards that. And if you're already there, think about what impact you have on those that will follow you. As I look in the audience, I know that many of you are already successful in your careers and in your business. What can you do to help others rise to the top? Do you think one day they'll say, because of you, I didn't give up? So to summarize, because we are less inclined to take risks, it's even more important that we challenge ourselves and ask for those opportunities, because it's only by doing that that we can grow in confidence and learn to speak up more. Taking risks makes us more visible. You don't need to shout to be heard, but you do need to speak up. Thank you.